Mr. Leonard, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
2023 is quickly coming to an end, and it will be known as the hottest year on record. Glaciers and sea ice are melting rapidly. We're seeing more severe storms coming more quickly. Have we passed a tipping point?
The science shows currently that we've not passed the tipping point, but we are close to the tipping point. If we continue on current trend, the chances of exceeding the tipping point and not overshooting becomes very, very high. And technically, yes, we can still meet the Paris Agreement, but it's becoming more and more difficult.
What has actually changed since COP27? Has there been any meaningful progress?
The UNFCCC did an assessment as part of the global stocktake to see how we are doing in terms of the commitment that we've made to addressing climate change. And unfortunately, the assessment released in September shows that the pledges of the commitment that we have are not in the direction that will take us to 1.5 degrees, not even 2 degrees Celsius. And the UNEP emissions gap report shows that we are in the path to between 2.5 degrees or 2.9 degrees. So, yes, things are not looking good since COP27, but there are also some good things that are happening. We have more electric cars and the demand is also increasing. Countries, the demand for fossil fuel is reducing. So not the production of fossil fuel, but the demand for it is reducing. And if we continue in that path, there are chances that we can really meet or face down fossil fuel by 2030.
Also in November, the presidents of China and the United States recommitted their efforts to reduce greenhouse gas emissions and shift toward more renewable sources of energy at a much faster pace. They did that on the sidelines of the APEC conference, and all eyes were looking to see if they could come together on something on climate. How significant was that announcement, that recommitment ahead of COP28?
I think that's a very, very significant commitment and an achievement. So when you look at the issue of climate change, US and China basically take a significant chunk of the emissions that we face. But beyond the emission is also the finance, the funding to address climate change lies with these two countries. So having these two leaders signal that commitment also sends commitment to other leaders that we need to move in the right direction.
It has been 2 years since the Kunming Declaration, a global framework to halt biodiversity loss. Has there been any progress?
Most of the challenges we face are interconnected, and climate change and biodiversity are so interconnected. We've seen that nature-based solution can really help us address different aspects of climate change, both mitigation and adaptation. And increasing climate change too also affects biodiversity. So really thinking of these two together with other socioeconomic aspects is very, very important. So since the declaration, we've had the Global Biodiversity Framework approved. And then since then, the Global Environment Facility has been able to set up the GBBF fund. So now we have a fund that will actually support the objective of the Kunming Declaration. So I think that is a signal that we are making some progress and we can start actually implementing projects to address the challenge of biodiversity. But apart from commitment in the area of government, is also that we are seeing changes also in the private sector, in the business community, because businesses are now realizing the interconnection between the success of business and economy and biodiversity.
What about on an individual level? Yeah. You and I, what can we do? What can our part be to combat climate change?
So when we think about all the discussion you're having at the COP28, it's top down. It's the government, and they go back and then we need to put policy in place. But individuals and communities have a significant role to play in addressing climate change. So I think a starting point for individuals is to spread the news. Many people still don't understand the issue, the challenges of climate change. So we have that role, especially those that are more aware. Then also, those that have the opportunity to influence the political discussion should engage in the political discussion, put pressure on your politicians, on your leaders to act. And then on our own role, I think, one, change your transportation. Use public transport where possible. If you can afford it, switch to electric cars because that saves the reduce greenhouse emission. Change the way you dress. Fast fashion is a major contributor to climate change. So address that area. Change your diet. What you eat, especially we that live in this very privileged part of the world, we already consume too much protein from cows, from sheep, from goat. So significantly reduce that. Don't waste food. 1/3 of the food that we produce are lost or wasted. When we throw away food, we are basically emitting methane into the atmosphere. Methane is actually more climate warming than CO2. Then come together within your community to work on climate action. And then those that are involved in investment, invest in climate-friendly stocks, climate-friendly, work with climate-friendly companies in terms of your investment moving forward.
Mr. Sunday Leonard, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure.